Our third speaker is Peggy Morton. My dear friend Peggy is a longtime local activist. She's here today as a representative of ECAWAR, Edmonton Coalition Against War and Racism. Peggy's involvement with labor initiatives against justice, racism, and imperialism has made her an influential member of our Edmonton community. Please welcome Peggy.
Thank you, Zogan. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. I want to talk today about rights. When we think of Palestinians, what do you think of when you think of a Palestinian? Of course, we think of the brutal occupation, of the killing of children, of women, of people who just want the basic things that everyone wants in this life: a homeland, rights, the right to live in peace, the right to raise your family, the right to work, the right to have your collective, your culture, your nation thrive, and you thrive as part of it. So when we think of Palestinians, I think the word has almost become synonymous with resistance, with refusal to submit to injustice, to dictate, to the American, the US imperialist idea that might makes right. And to be Palestinian, or to think of Palestinian, it's really synonymous with standing up for the right to be, for your national rights, for the rights of your people, and the right that you have to decide. So that's a very important thing at this time, because you all know that there's talk again of peace talks taking place. And if you were to listen to John Kerry, there's just a couple of loose ends to tie up. If you were to listen to Stephen Harper or the Harper government, well, it's just the intransigence of the Palestinians. That's what's stopping peace. So we, of course, would welcome real peace talks. Everyone wants peace. Everyone wants to see a settlement and justice for the Palestinian people after all these years. So many years after the Nakba, so many years after the occupation. If I could just give you a little personal story. I was at the age of a lot of the young women here when the '67 war happened. And I have to tell you honestly that as a young Canadian girl, we looked around and we said, Palestinians? Oh, we didn't know there were any Palestinians. Now forgive me for my ignorance at that time. But this is true, because we've been taught that this was a land for people without a land, for a land that had no people. That's what we have been told. And so we had to educate ourselves, we had to learn, and from that day forward, I think the progressive people from that generation forward have stood with the Palestinian people, because once they investigated, once they found the truth, then they found that they had to stand and defend the right of Palestinians. So in this question of the peace talks coming up, I think one of the most important questions to emphasize is who has the right to decide. Because John Kerry seems to think that he has the right to decide. And the straightforwardly pro-Israeli, pro-Zionist negotiator that he's appointed has the right to decide. And someone else has the right to decide, but not the Palestinian people. And so today we affirm that the Palestinian people have the right to decide, and they have the right to decide on the basis of their rights. Just a few statistics will really bring home those rights to us. 44% of Palestinians are refugees. Do they not have the right to return? And what other country do we agree that ethnic cleansing and driving people from their homelands is acceptable and just? So the right to return is a basic human freedom. It's a basic human right. And it's a right which belongs to every Palestinian. Did you know that since 1967, 800,000 people have been in Israeli detention? Did you know that Israel controls 85% of the land? You probably do know all these things, of historic Palestine, 85%. And so John Kerry says there's just a couple of loose ends to tie up. So we stand and affirm that peace can only exist, peace can only come on the basis of affirming the rights of the Palestinian people. If the rights of the Palestinian people are affirmed, then peace is possible. Whether it's a one-state solution, a two-state solution, whatever the Palestinian people decide that they will accept and negotiate. But without that, there can be no peace. And so it's very important at this time that we discuss these things with people, that we go out and that we counter the real disinformation which is coming from our government, from the official sources in our country, which want to suggest that it's the Palestinians who are the block to peace, and not the refusal to recognize the rights of the Palestinian people to their homeland, their right to return, their right to live in their own homeland, their own nation. Thank you very much.